That would have been the perfect segue.
If only. I'm gonna play the songs now.
Are you looking for it? Or?
No. Am I looking for what?
The song. I didn't hear it.
No. Well, I played it. I turned off my sound. I don't know if. Yeah, it should be fine.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure you'll hear it eventually. You just talk in the middle of it, but that's fine.
Well, usually I can hear it.
It might be that I'm using a different set of headphones today, so that actually work properly.
Actually, keep out the sound. Yeah, I mean, usually I hear it in the background. Just wait for it to finish.
Yeah.
All I heard was silence.
Oh. Well, you know what? That's fine. Oh my! I wonder. I totally. Oh, it's because my webcam's not on. What is that? Oh my god! Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Tabletop Masons. See my crock pot down in the little corner over there? Got that for this. What did I get it for? For a party. And my girlfriend was pissed off because she was going to buy me a crock pot for Christmas. And I was like, it's a really strange thing to get someone as a gift.
I mean, if you know they like cooking, then that's a good gift.
I suppose that's right.
In my opinion.
I think that may be correct. Anyways, I'm Chris. On the line, wherever he is out there in the
I am
universe.
also Chris.
He is also Chris, other Chris. Very much Chris as well. And today we're going to be talking about evolution.
You know, having the same name is very inefficient for a podcast.
What are you talking about? There I am again.
All I'm saying is, when people create a TV show, they don't name two of the characters the same thing because it's confusing.
It's because those people know what's up. Anyways, I'm capturing the wrong monitor. Let's kind of adjust that. We don't want to see me talk. Oh, wait, no, we're not. I'm catching the right monitor. Look at that. Boom. Oh my god, guys. You see this lovely Google Doc.
Have you figured it out yet?
I got it all under control. I know what's going on. I did the interneting. I did the visioning. A visionary. So, evolution. Chris, tell us about this evolution idea.
Basically, I was tackling the idea of amoebas. And you know, amoebas reproduce themselves by splitting off, right?
Asexual reproduction. No banging for them.
And I thought it would be fun.
That doesn't sound fun to me.
You're right. Regular sexual evolution or sexual reproduction is probably way funner. But anyway,
there's one of me. Now there's 2 of me. Now there's 4 of me. Congratulations.
I was thinking how you could tie that into like an evolution sort of mechanic. Mm-hmm. I guess the goal would be to each turn you create a new guy, which has the characteristics of one of your old guys, but slightly different. Then throughout the game, you could add more slight differences on to hopefully pile up to make some sort of end game that is strategically different.
First, your player has an amoeba. Then he has a slightly more different amoeba.
Yes.
And then you draw a big wonky arm of some kind. I'm not really sure. And then he pounds his enemies into the ground. So, when we're talking about evolution, we talk with beef sticks in our mouth.
So that was basically the germ of an idea.
I get it. I get it.
That is the start of this game.
So we're going to look at viruses or bacteria, Chris? Viruses, bacteria.
I think we were discussing this earlier.
Germs!
I think we were discussing this earlier. Part of the problem with just bacteria or amoebas is you got to make it exciting somehow. You got to make it dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
like it could be like logically it could just be amoebas fighting like in a petri dish somewhere, but that's not.
That's not
I don't think that's
interesting.
narratively interesting,
I've
right?
never peered
Unless
into
you're
a
like,
petri dish and been like,
oh,
oh
this is
my
fascinating.
god.
I mean, maybe there's some hardcore scientists out there that would be like, oh, this is the game for us. So instead of amoebas, virus or bacteria makes more sense.
Yeah.
Trying to become an awesome sickness, like that one internet game I've never played.
What game was that?
The one
Plague?
that the
Breakout?
one where Mascar closes all the time. All I know is a Madagascar meme of it.
Plague.
Or Madagascar always shuts
Yeah,
down their
it always
borders.
starts out in Madagascar.
I thought it was that they always quarantine themselves super early and there's only like one way in, so
Yeah.
it's like they're the hardest thing to get to for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, sort of a similar idea on that theme
So,
of trying to create an awesome plague because that like brings you to viruses and cellular structures, but in a more narratively interesting,
yeah.
dramatic way.
Because, yeah, I mean, as evolution goes, it is interesting. You have games like Spore,
Yeah,
Evolve, the game, the new game that's coming out from, I can't remember the studio, where you have one
is
person who
there a
plays
new
as the big
spore
guys.
coming out?
There's not a new Spore coming out.
No,
They're old Spore, dude. Spore. You ever play Spore?
didn't hear it was that great. So
It was okay.
I mean, what a concept for a game though.
Certainly. I really like everyone was really on the hype train for that one at the beginning, just really excited about the idea that you're like, oh, you get to make your own dude and then he can do anything, and then it came out and they were like, oh, this is actually less fun than you actually are trying to make it out to be.
But I mean, describing the game is awesome.
Absolutely, you gotta end up in space flying your new aliens that you bred from like little, I don't know, basically unicellular organisms, and
Yeah,
then
in the
they,
game it feels like they started with a sales pitch and then tried to make the game around it.
yeah.
And they stuck with the sales pitch, but didn't actually make the game good. I mean, what
And
a
that's
sales
fine.
pitch!
What a sales pitch. Or should I say sales pitch? Ah,
Oh, what?
I'm sorry. So, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at a game focused around evolving basically monocellular organisms. Most likely bacteria, virus, germs. Germs. I just like the idea of saying germs. Germs is a good word.
Don't I imagine it's less threatening though?
But
For some reason,
you just
are they?
see.
I have no idea.
I think germ is just like a superset of a lot of different little bacteria and viruses and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know why bacteria and virus sound more threatening to me.
I don't know. And
I don't
so,
know either.
girlfriend's hair.
Oh, I should open up
Keyboard.
this document.
You should get open with this document. So the theme, the mechanical theme that we're looking at is around this idea of evolution on a small scale, I guess. It doesn't really matter if that's on a small scale, it's just evolution. And what we're really looking at is we're going to be focusing on how a cell slash germ slash virus bacteria I spelled bacteria wrong. I'm not going back. There's no going back. Can adapt through evolution. Who's gonna fix it? To better, propagate its species. Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival de la fittest. So, Chris, you kind of had a mechanic in mind.
Yeah, I did have a mechanic in mind.
You said quickly?
What was that?
You say something? Anyway, so you had a mechanic in mind.
I did have a mechanic in mind.
And so give us a quick rundown of what you were kind of thinking.
So the main evolution mechanic would be like each sort of cell or virus or whatever has just 3 characteristics. So like the virus you have out might be like called an A, B, A virus. So its first characteristic is A, its second characteristic is B, its third is A. So on your turn, you could take a virus from somewhere and reproduce from that virus, but it has to share at least 2 of the characteristics from it. So you can make like a C, B, A, which shares the second 2, or like A, B, D, which shares the first 2, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Which sort of gives the idea of growth or change, but it's still, they're related, obviously.
It shows you the sort of like small mutations that actually happen under most circumstances as far as cellular organisms evolution goes. It's a crazy knife. So when we're looking at that, we're kind of imagining a germ, a virus. You control, I don't know, either one type of virus, a couple types of virus. Germ, virus. I always get confused with viruses because I don't know how evolution occurs with viruses because they don't have DNA. They have like single strand RNA, right? So I assume it happens the same sort of way, but it's just like. Sorry.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I haven't considered that. I assume it happens the same way.
I don't know. Anyway, on topic. So that's your main kind of mechanic. The way I see it is just some sort of random pool, probably, where these extra variances come from, and you have your little pool of germs in front of you, and you can play off of them, these ones from the random pool, to build up your strong army to take down the evil humans. I mean, you don't not do it on purpose, right? But like that's what you do. You just kind of want to. I mean, I don't think that you guys are us. I don't think any of us are really evil. It's just.
Yeah, let's not alienate our viewers.
From the point of view of a bacteria, you're just food.
I'm pretty sure most of our viewers are humans and not bacteria.
I bet there's more bacteria watching than there are humans.
Damn it, you're right. But we still care about the humans.
Says you. I, for one, welcome my bacteria overlords. So what do you think of that, Chris? Kind of some kind of random assortment of bacteria that's floating around in cyberspace that represents the potential mutations. And in cyberspace. I guess in regular space. Not
regular future space.
Not outer space, but like future space. Yeah, sure. And you receive some number of those, you look at them, you say, I, in my almighty powerful ways, choose to evolve this bacteria this way, and
Yeah.
that helps you to move towards the goal of whatever the goal is. Let's kind of look at the goal. Like when we're looking at these bacteria, germs. I keep saying bacteria. I guess I'm using bacteria now. It's just the words that I've hence decided forth to use.
Yeah.
When we're looking at bacteria, um, and like, what is your win condition? What are you trying to do?
Well, it might be kill enough humans, or it might be,
Why are we killing? We're nice to the humans. We want them to live.
or you might be like a benign or like a not as deadly sickness. So like be present in 40% of humans or something.
Typhoid Mary.
Well, that's pretty deadly, but not to Mary.
Not to Mary.
She was just tra la 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 line.
Yeah, she knew. She knew she was just being an evil bitch.
I think that's a bad history right there.
I think you didn't get the actual history. Did you meet Mary? No, I didn't think so.
It's true.
So this is kind of the idea that I was thinking of. What if you had like a subset of like cards that represent human beings, I guess, and you like they each had like some sort of, I don't know, like either vulnerabilities or resistances or something.
It's gonna be sort of like the voter game
Kind of.
where you just draw some at the beginning, or is it gonna be refreshing? Like when someone killed one of the guys, then we draw another one.
What if the humans also reproduce? So I guess you're right. Guess we'll move away from that idea because it is something that we've kind of already looked at. If you guys want to see it, take a look at episodes 3 and 4 on the voter. What the hell is that called? Voter voting campaign manager.
The campaign managing game.
Campaign
I
managing
think
game.
it's titled "I Did Not Sleep with That Woman."
I did not sleep with that
episode.
woman.
At least the first episode is.
Yeah. So let's move away from having multiple of those little things that are randomly assigned. Let's move towards like maybe there's one like host that we're trying to take over. Or
I was thinking of like an empty board of humans.
an empty board of humans.
Let's say the board, but I mean it's empty of sicknesses at first, but then sicknesses start spreading.
Yeah. And so the idea is like you spread to other people by contact, or
yeah, something like that.
You guys here? Yeah. Hey, going in one dump. Is there anything you want to stay or go? Not that I can think of. Okay.
Interrupted.
Yep, not never mind. So we have like a board of humans. Are we trying to, yeah, I was gonna say, battle with our
I mean, I guess it could be either, right? Like, it could be just whoever gets the most. I know there's no real combat. Like when someone has a space of humans, then that's it. There's no taking over. Or it could be a combination of there's some combat, but most of the game is just trying to take up empty spaces.
Yeah.
Or maybe your sickness can be everywhere. Like multiple sicknesses can be in the same square.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility.
But if a person gets, I don't know, over half of the sicknesses possible, then they die.
So
in a
once a
two-player
square
game,
has okay, in a 2 that would be just 1, but like in a 4-player game, once a space has 2, then there's no more going on it.
yeah, well, I mean, you could still go on it; they just die.
That's sort of like the power grid. Like once this has 3 plants on it, that's it. We don't take any more power plants.
We have a surplus of power. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We don't need any more.
That makes sense. Would it be kind of like Power Grid in the way that you can move between people, or would it just be pure adjacency? Or
I mean, the pure adjacency probably, because that's how sicknesses spread, right?
yeah, I mean, you have airborne sicknesses.
That's true. Maybe you could evolve to that. Yeah.
So your win condition is to control some number of people, right? Or to infect them.
Or control enough of the territory, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I said empty board, I mean it's like the opposite of risk, right? Like in risk, everyone starts on the board. The board is filled to begin with.
Yeah.
And here the board would be empty to start, and then you start filling it up as the game progresses.
So would all of your germs be the same?
Obviously not.
Or do you have like one germ that is representative of all of your germs? And you have like minor mutations which allow you to put new cards on those things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you have like what I'm kind of imagining is you have like a Pokemon-esque bench system where you have one bacteria that's your active bacteria, and then you've got like 2 bacteria that are dormant, and you can mutate them, but they don't do anything. They just kind of hang back and do nothing.
Hang back and do nothing.
And then eventually you can swap them out with the active bacteria to do like a massive like bacterial evolution thing to change them from one of yours into the other one.
I mean, if we're going with one represents all, I think like mutations makes more sense. Like each card is a mutation of the thing of all your germs, I guess.
Yeah. So that kind of brings to the next question, which is, what is if your goal is this sort of territory board control? I guess there has to be some sort of like, I guess it has like somewhat combative nature to it, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily.
For instance,
like I said, there might be 2 people on the same spot.
Yeah. But the thing is, if what does the evolving give you then?
That's true.
Like your things that you're trying to overcome are either from the player spaces or the like the person spaces, the board that you're trying to control, or from your opponents that you're at odds with to try and overcome.
Yeah. So you could fight each other, right? I get the benefits of, I guess, evolving would be better fighting, better spreading ability, more options and choosing cards.
What do you mean by more options in choosing cards?
I don't know. If you draw X amount of cards, you might draw X plus one.
Mm. So they fall into a pool of radioactive ooze.
Something like that.
They just evolve like crazy mutants.
Is that enough for them to do? Do they need more to do?
I mean, there also is the. So what are we? We're looking at what mutations can do, or what? What are you looking at?
Yeah, what mutations can do.
So mutations can make them better at combating things. They make them move faster or spread better or whatever that is. Um, make them have special movement, special things like being able to fly and jump and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I mean is part of the better spreading ability. But the way I'm kind of envisioning it is like each person has a resistance value or something, and you need to beat that number in order to actually infect them. And then in order to like spread, you can like that's like a actual distance motion. Like you could move adjacent, but you can also like if you get the flying jumping ones, you can fly and jump and like be airborne.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have legs or wings. You're a fucking bacteria or a virus of some kind. So you now can travel through the air via someone sneezing.
You're a bird flu, basically.
You're not a bird flu, Chris. That implies they have wings.
No, I mean you can be carried by birds. You're somewhere else. In which case you would have wings. The wings of the stupid bird carrying you around.
Or maybe a mosquito, maybe a malaria.
Oh, man, mosquitoes are the worst.
You know. Um, so let's go at this in another direction because I think that we've reached a dead end looking at it this way mentally.
Okay.
Let's look at it in the setup and play style direction. So like talking about your setup, talking about your turns, and how play looks.
Okay.
So the setup is the board's already preset, right? Are there values that need to be assigned for them randomly, or is it Is there always one board, or is there more than one board? Or
On board, there's spaces on the board, I guess,
okay.
representing the areas of humans.
And does each of those spaces have a value? Is that value static?
Resistance values.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then
Yeah,
is it like Power Grid where each thing, like each road has its own value that is always the same on that map? Or is it like Settlers of Catan where at the beginning you can randomly assign like this is a value when you roll a 6 you get this, when you roll a 12 you get this, or 11, 12, 12, yeah.
um, the main thing about Settlers of Catan, I guess, is that you get to pick the place you start, so no one really gets screwed over, right?
Hmm.
So you could do random. That would work just fine, right? As long as like there's no set starting spots.
Yeah.
Which do you think is better from a design perspective?
Hmm. I personally like the. I think probably static jumpers is better, just for to start with because it's more easy to balance the like paths and stuff. People can just get super screwed with the random ones. Like because we are talking about primarily like motion,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So
Other than
um
this, cards.
some kind of cards, yes. Those cards are representative of virus, right? Your virus has some kind of starting values that are like characteristic one, flying, or I don't know, G, G, T, A, C. Those are your
Yeah.
pieces of DNA.
So you get a starting virus. I assume those are just really basic ones that you just automatically start off with.
Yeah. So how are you envisioning these sorts of viruses? Are they or let's say, so imagining we're picking up like a random pile of cards and we have actual like future viruses that we can put on there. Um, do those viruses is it like your mutations are the entirety of the virus changes to be this other thing, or is it like you change part of your genome and you get this extra ability? So like you start off with one that's like AAAA, right? And
Yeah, you start off with like the AA one.
you get you draw some cards and you get one that says, okay, this one is like star AA, and that one says you now are airborne and you don't have to. You can travel, like you don't have to be adjacent to the place in order to do it. And it's like a actual mutation. Like it goes onto your guy and says, "Hey, now I function in this way instead of just the way that I had previously worked." Or is it the idea that you have an actual new like gene that you're working with? So now you're like, oh, I've got one that's BAA, and now he has +1 to his resistance or his like combating resistance value. Because I mean, that's the way I see it is that there's two camps. There's the camp of what I'm looking at is a single gene or single bacteria that I start with, and I can evolve in this string of gaining and losing different attributes. Or there's
Yeah.
the one of I have a specific bacteria that I start with. I have to change to a bacteria that's similar to it over and over, and I just get whatever those attributes are on that specific bacteria.
Okay, I'm gonna go back for a second. Instead of say, I'm gonna go back to the original reproduce idea.
Uh huh.
Um, so say okay, each card is a separate virus with its own abilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like it's a each virus just sits there like a magic creature,
Yeah.
and each turn you could, if you want to spread, you I guess use your viruses to attack into an area, I guess. So if you're trying to get to the next area and you need to get, say, 7, then you need to attack with 7 para virus.
Okay.
And the starting virus might have like 1 or something, right?
Sure. And then what are we looking at? If that's the way that we're going to be handling it, is that you can have like basically an army of viruses.
Yeah.
And they can have different stats. They can do different things, but it becomes down to like basically a unit. They are your units, and you can control them and move them through space and time.
Yeah.
So if we're like focusing on reproduction, they reproduce individually. Do you want it to be that they have to accomplish something in order to reproduce? Do they die? Do they get to just come back automatically? Do they become more than one?
So say instead of attack, like you get 1 reproduction per turn, and it takes up that unit's attack for the turn, right? Like it does a tap.
Yeah. And so
is what I'm imagining.
Reproducing is the duplication of a unit, right?
Yeah.
So the way I'm seeing it is at the end of the game could end in one of two ways. One is that you get completely annihilated, like you kill all of your opponent's stuff, or you have captured enough of the board to win.
Adds a different, or eliminate everyone. That makes sense too. Like, but I guess you can only combat someone if you're touching them on the board.
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly like you could only if you're like in the same person as them.
If you're in the same area, if you're actually on the same space.
Yeah.
That makes even more sense. So what's the advantage of having these two sort of opposing win conditions? Because I do think it's interesting. That's a little bit more.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing when you're looking at like a multiplayer game is that it's bound to turn into, if players understand that it's a multiplayer game and that you get the chance to be multiplayer, yes, and like play off the political roles and stuff, like it gives you the ability to go in one or more directions. That
Yeah.
if you try and stop me on this axis, I can go along this axis and still plot ahead.
Yep. And it also makes two different strategies of viruses, right?
Hmm.
So you might want to go the board heavy viruses, and that would be Ree's strategy, evolve that way. Or you might want to go to the eliminate everyone combat viruses,
Yeah.
which would be a different sort of evolving path.
So then it brings us back to the same sort of thing that we were wondering previously, which is if we're looking at a virus evolution, um, or I guess just in general, we're looking at all of the viruses as a whole that you control. Do they represent one thing? Like, are they all one type of virus?
Yeah, I was gonna go with no. There's like an army of viruses. They're just sort of related.
Hmm. And so, how does a player like manage all those different pieces? How do they like understand? This virus is virus type A. This virus is virus type B.
Do you just mean on the board?
I mean, yeah, mostly on the board.
So I imagine that like you don't put your cells like on the board; they're just in front of you, right?
Hmm.
And you just have markers like a black meeple or a black person or a red meeple that represent your viruses, I guess. Once you've like entered a place, you just put the meeple on it, and that
So,
represents your guys are there.
so an assortment of your viruses that control one space.
There's 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 no moving your viruses physically onto the board, right?
Okay,
Is what I'm imagining.
sure.
You just move a like a red marker or
Yeah.
whatever color marker you are to that space that says my guys now are in there.
Okay, so I guess the main question then is how do you represent like territory or control, or just manage the first win condition of making sure you have enough of the board under your possession?
Yeah, that's the territory right there.
Yeah.
Just if you have enough of those things down. It's not like I guess in other games where you would keep track of the units that are on every space.
Hmm.
It's more my armies in front of me. They've gone through these areas where they are exactly right now. I'm not keeping track because I guess that's not part of this game because that adds a lot of complexity to the game.
Yeah. So the
You
idea is
could build
that
it that way,
you
but
you have a huge amorphous blob army, and your huge
yeah,
amorphous blob army consists of spaces. It transcends the divide between humans, basically. Like you have all of your units, all of your different types of units exist on each of the spaces that you control.
yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. I'm glad we understand each other.
Yeah. The
I
one.
guess the advantages of that is it's not as complicated, right?
Yeah. Oh, it certainly isn't.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that I could see as being an issue, though, is that the elimination of everyone becomes a like it's not something that you could actually do really without achieving the first part.
Yeah, I could see where you would say that. That's definitely a possibility. And that's something we will have to worry about when we're making the game.
I mean, not really. It's just leave it in, but it's not going to. I really don't think it's going to impact anything.
Not right now, anyway. Okay, so setup. Back to where we were.
Yeah.
So, how are you imagining the players, I guess, get cards.
So what I'm kind of seeing is the player. He starts with their one bacteria, and
Yep.
then there's like just a global pile, I guess, of cards that are different bacterias or different mutations. I guess they're two different piles. You have like, or is it? I'm not quite sure exactly what we were thinking. Is it? You have one that's
No more mutations, just viruses.
just viruses. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have just a pile of bacteria that are icky, give you diseases.
So do you just take 6 off the top every turn and play one?
Yeah, some number 5, 6, 5. Because five's
Take
round.
X off the top and play one.
Yeah. And is it so? Is it you have to play it on? You can play it on top of your guy, or you can like not move your guy and instead you can make your army bigger.
I guess take X off the top and put one into your hand.
Sure. And
And
then
then
you'll
you
have
take your turn.
yeah. So I will give you something that you can do.
Yeah, I guess one of my other concerns is what if you take like X off the top and there's nothing you can play.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because that is a frustrating thing to happen, and preferably we'd want to avoid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's just take X on the top and put one in your hand, at least you're saving something for later.
Yeah. It definitely gives you the ability to like play in advance, like try and do something in the future, which I mean
Yeah.
is definitely more interesting than not doing anything.
Yeah. Okay, and then the rest of your turn, viruses can attack.
Your
Or
virus army gets to
or
either
reproduce.
reproduce or attack, right?
Well, I mean, it just takes one virus to reproduce, right? So if you have like 3 viruses, one can reproduce, and the other 2 can attack.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or do special abilities, I guess. Huh. Does that look good so far? What was that?
I'm making noises as I think.
Okay.
One board, spaces in the board representing areas of humans. Yeah, sure. Cards representative of different virus types. It's your starting virus. You have a global pile that you can evolve from, and then you take your turn, which consists of you draw a card at the beginning of your turn, or you draw some cards at the beginning of your turn, right?
Yeah.
You put one in your hand. Then you get to attack, reproduce, and do special abilities per each virus that you have.
Yeah.
How do you mutate, or is it do you mutate any of your viruses to make them better, or is it just you reproduce and get another virus type?
You just reproduce and you get another virus type. I was imagining.
Okay.
But maybe there's like a different card called mutation that just like is basically an enchantment or an enchant creature. It just stays on your virus and makes it better. That's possible too.
Hmm.
What are you playing with?
I was playing with this piece of plastic that I cut in half, but I'm thinking about the issue with. So imagine you go turn one, you're gonna reproduce your guy, right?
Yeah.
Turn two, you now have two guys, which means you can attack one space and reproduce your guy. Like, I feel as though the majority of the game is really static-y.
What do you mean by that?
Not like static, but like it's very scripted. It's very much, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing the first 4 turns of the game, basically.
I see. How would you change that?
I think that almost all of your viruses need to have special abilities, and those special abilities have to be interesting. Like, because then it presents you with 3 options, one and all of which move you towards your win condition or your end goal.
Yeah. All of them have the ability to spread on the board, reproduce, and attack other viruses, right?
Yeah.
But they can't always attack unless you're right next to someone.
I don't know. It seems like it's gonna. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like the other thing is like, okay, so imagine this future scenario.
Imagine it.
Guess it really depends on what kind of other special actions a player can take during their turn. Because so imagine the board's full. Like one player has been eliminated, one player controls, and then each of the other 3 players control like a third of the map.
Yeah.
And I go and I attack. Like it's my turn. I get my card. I am gonna reproduce with one of my guys, and then I'm going to attack him somewhere. Like, what happens when I attack him? Is it just make me control that space? Does it make me control the space and then he loses a guy because then it becomes even more steamrolly? I just feel like it's going to turn into the thing that happened in the first game that we made, the Gods game, where myself and Ryan really just ran into each other over and over again and got nowhere. Because, each turn he gets the ability to build a new guy, and then I attack him and take out his guy. And then he builds a new guy. and then I attack him and take out his guy.
Oh, well, how do normal games avoid this?
Hmm.
Certainly, there are games with combat that don't fall into that trap, right?
I'm trying to think of games that I play that have combat. I mean, just intuitively, it seems as though like in those games, combat is it is lateral to either a it requires resources to do something, like it requires resources to create your units or create your things. For instance, we can look at I don't know StarCraft. The goal
Yeah.
of StarCraft, like I mean, it seems like it's to eliminate your opponent's forces, but it's not completely. Like that's a way that you can get there, but the goal is to get rid of their buildings, right?
Yes.
Because once
But
you
to do
get,
that, you have to get rid of all their units.
I mean, you don't have to. If you can secretly
You
kill all
basically
of their
have to.
buildings, yeah. See,
Yeah.
the thing with StarCraft is that because I have an income, like I have an economy that I need to maintain, and that economy is what allows me
Yeah.
to construct units. You there's not only this push and pull between like the macro micro like economic stuff. There's um, the fact that it requires resources, and you have a non-finite amount of resource to, or you have a finite amount of resources that you can build things with. So eventually, even if that happens, it will end. The issue with
Yeah.
what this looks like and with what our previous game, like the scenarios have in common, is that there is no like resource that you're losing. Like you you produce like whatever you either you have your resource or you don't have your resource. In both the scenarios, basically, or in the scenario of this game and the scenario of the um, God game, you have unit creation with no resource cost, is what it is. So like I can produce a unit at no cost to me, and that unit will be able to, reinforce the position that I have.
I mean, didn't they cost stuff in the God game?
Yeah, but because of Dionysus or whatever it was, it made it that way that they didn't have a cost. Whoever it was, Hera.
Um, yeah.
I remember. Someone
The
made a
cost in
study.
this game is sort of abstract in that it's mainly time and
Time.
your ability to have other viruses, right?
What do you mean?
Because I mean, if I want to make like a BQC virus, I have to have a virus that's close to that, right?
Mm,
If my BCC virus dies, then I can't play that card anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, how your viruses die? Like, is it whenever you lose like a space, like if someone attacks your space and they kill you, or if you attack a space and you lose a virus of some kind? I don't.
You're asking how combat works.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't decided yet, but mostly I was imagining if you're in the same space, then they can just attack your army basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you get to decide, I guess, if you want to lose that space or you want to throw guys in front of them to fight. if that makes sense.
Like you can either lose the space or you can trade one of your other viruses out for a.
Or you could fight. It could be like my 2/4 blocks your 2/4, nothing happens. If that makes sense.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand these things.
Okay, so I'm attacking you with, I guess, a virus with 3 attack and a virus with 5 attack. You have the option now of blocking my guys or just abandoning the space.
Okay, so when you're attacking, what does that mean? Like if nothing happens?
And nothing happens. What do you mean if nothing
If
happens?
if I choose to do nothing, if I take no action, what happens?
You can't make no action. You have to choose one of those two.
Well, yeah. So wait, what?
You have to block my guys or you lose the space. Choose one of those.
So what happens when
There's no do nothing.
I block your guys?
Okay, so maybe you just have a bunch of guys with low defense. Then you just have to sacrifice 2 guys.
So they have
Maybe
to.
you have a guy with really
have,
good defense and not a bunch else. So you block one that doesn't die, and then you sacrifice another guy. Or maybe you have 2 guys with really good defense who could live through it. So on.
Hmm.
And he attacked you for no reason, just to be a dick or something.
Just to be a dick or something. So there's 2.
What are you thinking about?
I'm just trying to figure out, how. I mean, we can definitely try it. I don't have any problems with trying it.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems. I feel like there's something going on there that is. I don't know. Something. Something is something.
Something is something.
And I'm not quite sure exactly how to put it together, how to word it, but I can see where you're going with that now. So each I definitely it might be fine. I just like I said, I'd be willing to try it. It's hard when my heart says something's wrong, but I don't know what it is.
Can you put it into words? No.
No,
Just your heart.
It's my heart.
Just a heart feeling.
That's one of my heart feelings. It's right next to my stomach.
It should be a brain feeling.
Maybe it's my high.
You can put it into words.
High cholesterol.
If it was a brain feeling, that would be worth something.
Yeah, it's not. It's not though. It's worth jack shit. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. Basically, yeah, so basically every turn, every movement, like infecting another human is an attack. It's just an attack that is not defended. So you have to hit them.
It's attack on the neutral board, right? You still have to overcome a defense, right?
Exactly. It's an attack that's undefended. by an opponent or whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to block all of his guys. He just has to block enough that he can't deal more than his defense, like the spaces defense, right? That makes sense to you?
Well, I mean, you're not attacking into the space, right? You're already on the space.
Well, I suppose that's true. Are you?
You're not fighting over spaces, is the thing. Like, this isn't like a risk game where you're fighting over the space. You're like fighting over the army, right?
Yeah.
So it should probably be you have to. That's what I was thinking. Block all of his guys.
Hmm.
All of the guys he's sending at you.
Basically, you are defending that human from getting infected with his disease.
More like you're defending your viruses. Like, this is intra-virus combat here.
Intra-virus combat.
They've decided to screw the humans. You're both in the humans, and then they're like, well, get out of this human. And you're like, no, we'll stand our ground. And then you either die or not.
All right.
Oh, is there anything else we need?
Hmm. So that means that all of your viruses are going to have at least two stats, one of which is their infection power, and the other one which is their resistance.
Yeah. I mean, they could. You might have infection, attack, and defense, or you might have just infection and defense. Should be. I mean, smaller is better.
What's that?
Smaller is less complex.
Yeah. So you have like
Although
your
Although if you had 3 stats, it would have more variety, I guess.
yeah. So
Like types of.
you could just have it be like a special ability on the thing that says
That's true. That's
when
true.
invading a player, this person gets +3 infection or something.
That's yes, that's fair. That does make sense. Resistance.
Fall man.
And they have special abilities? Question mark.
Yeah, man.
And then I guess this is viruses, right? And they have their DNA characteristics or their RNA characteristics.
RNA characteristics. Well, I mean, you can't use G then. You have to use U. Or is it T? I don't remember.
Just using all
AC,
the letters.
AC, G, and U. Those are the 3 like building blocks.
All
I
right.
don't
So
know what they're called. Of RNA.
how many how many letters are going to be in these characteristics?
Either 3 or 4.
Either 3 or 4.
Oh, we're talking about vertical, not horizontal. 5.
5?
6?
6?
So this is what I'm thinking. If you have 5, then there's
And where
only
that's 125 possibilities, right?
it's 5 times 5 times 5. 25 times 5 is 125. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how many of them? Um, how many of them get to be or get to combine with you?
I don't know what you mean. To start off?
15. So that means that there's 15 different things that you could mutate into.
To start off.
Yeah. Well, in all cases.
Got it.
So 4? Maybe 4 is right. 4 or 5. Maybe 5.5 or 4.5.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 5.
So like 4, your total number of things that you can have is 64. There's 64 different combinations.
Yeah.
And you can turn into 10 of them.
Start off?
Yeah. So you can, well, in all cases, in all scenarios, there will be 10 different like genetic mutations that you could turn into from that point. At 5, you're looking at 125 different possible things, and we don't have to use all of them. This is true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true.
But yeah, so I think 5 is probably good. It gives you enough space that you can move around, but it also gives you, like a good way to build your tree.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. Just so you know.
Why are you telling me this?
Because it says so on my mat in front of me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so do we want other types of cards?
Other types of cards, how so?
Like the mutations. Which are just things you put on viruses.
I think that just mutating your guy is probably fine.
Just viruses is fine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me.
So how many cards are we going to need for this?
I assume the deck gets shuffled to get together, right?
Yeah, there's just one global deck, I guess.
And then at the end, once you run out of cards, you just shuffle it all back up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Each person starts with one specific one.
Yeah. So we need like 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides those.
Well, I'm thinking so. like if you imagine yourself building a tree, and you have like 6 distinct starting viruses, right? And you have a maximum of
Are you saying the starting viruses should be different?
I mean, maybe you have 2 of 3 different types. Like they'd be basically the same. It's just what their genes start out as would be different, and that would allow you to
Let's
give
just
you like different trees of
yeah
how they
yeah.
evolve.
Let's just make this an expansive trading card game, and this could be just like the Commander.
The
He is sort of the Commander, though.
I guess
I could
that's
imagine him being slightly different, like
it's always been called Commander, hasn't it?
Commander Magic. No,
No, there's never been a different name, a general. I guess is what he was called.
Was he called the General?
General, yeah,
I don't remember before Wizards came up with Commander. It
yeah.
was. I remember that it was called Elder Dragon Highlander. I don't remember what your guy was called.
He's called your general.
General. Okay.
But yes, I could see what you're getting at.
Yeah. But that is way too expensive right now. Distinct 3 different options for players, I guess.
And it doesn't really mean anything at the moment. I say starting it off with the same is actually an interesting way to show evolution. I mean, it's fine to just start with one starting player or starting dude.
Yeah, let's keep it simple for now. Okay. Start with same guy.
So let's say I keep thinking of that. There's 2 options there, but there's not. So you want your player to mutate like 80% of the time, right? Or at the very beginning, you want them to reproduce like 80% of the time.
Yes. So I guess we haven't decided the draw X, like draw 5, I guess, off the top.
Yeah, so if we draw 5 off the top,
Which should be done at the end of your turn.
I was thinking about it, but then your first turn does nothing.
Well, I mean, besides that first turn. Learn from Dominion. Because in Dominion, if our viewers don't know, you draw your hand at the end of your turn, so you can spend the rest of the downtime deciding what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Which is a way better course of action than drawing it right at the beginning of your turn and then reading all 5 of the cards. And being like, oh, what am I going to do? And then everyone's waiting. It decreases downtime, is the thing. So I like that system better. Are you mathing right now?
Yeah, I'm mathing.
So if we draw, I guess if we're drawing 5, how many basic evolutions do we want?
So we're drawing 5. The total number of things is X, right? The number of ones that we want to evolve into is 80% of X, right? No? That's not how math works. This math is slightly more challenging than I thought.
I mean, we still haven't decided what's a number we're shooting for because you're only drawing 1 card a turn, right? So, I mean, you're drawing 5, but you're only getting 1.
Yeah.
So it's not like we need that many cards. Like, I don't know, 100 and like
Well, I'm talking about like turn
20,
one.
140 would do it.
Like turn one, you want to do something, right?
Yeah.
Like usually.
Yeah. And there should be like a path that you could expand to if you don't hit anything. And probably like a mulligan option. Is that what math sounds like?
It is.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot.
See, what I was thinking is, wouldn't this be easier with one of your bounds settled? That bound being the deck size.
Probably. It actually is possible at that point.
Okay. So what are you thinking the deck size is going to be?
I'm not sure. Probably around like 80 to 120, 140.
Yeah, I was thinking around 120. So let's go with 120.
120. What a great number. Such a beautiful phrase.
120 is the loneliest number.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you're right. But it involved a 1, so it was almost a pun.
120 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
I was listening to that Mary Lambert song Secrets. She rhymes disorder with order.
Well, I mean, they weren't rhyme, so.
What?
I said they rhyme, so. Not sure where you're getting at.
It's true. Just seems cheap is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, it's not the cheapest rhyme I've ever heard of, but it's a pretty cheap rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, are you still mathing?
Oh, no. I was thinking about math, but not mathing.
God damn it, we were waiting for you.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry I let you down. So what were we looking at? We're looking at having 120.
We have a 120 card deck.
Yep.
Just take 5 on the top.
You pick one.
Just take 10 off the top.
But that's so many.
For your first turn. Take 10 off the top.
Jesus, that's so many.
And just take 2. Again, for your first turn.
Okay. Seems fine.
So yeah, and then give us a high percentage chance to get a basic one. Then.
Jesus, it's so many numbers. Oh. Ah!
Did you come up with a number?
Geodist. Sample size is 10. Oh wait, actually 1. I only care about getting 1, right? We're taking 10.
Yeah.
Population's 120.
Yeah. I mean, because once you have 2, then the probability that you'll get something that matches is going to go way up after that.
equals 38.836%. That doesn't seem right at all.
Oh, we don't want a percent. We want the number to get a high percent.
Well, the thing is, I put in just 15 as an arbitrary number, and it seems that didn't seem right to me. Oh wait.
Out of 120.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't seem right, but especially since
You're
that
right.
number is
Intuitively,
going
that
down.
seems lower for me. Intuitively, that seems low. You're really correct.
Yeah.
And everyone knows in math you trust your intuition because it's always right. Nothing weird happens with intuition in math.
I want cumulative. So if you it just doesn't seem right to me.
Well, it might not be right, but it might be right. Who knows? I mean, Excel knows.
I think this is actually backwards. That's what it is. I see what it is now. Okay. So that's 53%. That's 66%. That's almost 80%. So if you have 32 of your 110, then 80% of the time you will get it. That just seems wrong.
That does seem high.
Yeah.
That's more than a fourth of the deck.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let me try. I want to try one more thing because I know the math behind this, which is the math behind drawing 3 lands in your first 3 turns. That's pretty close. It's not too off.
So 32, which are one letter away from a. So if we have 5 letters, that's A, B, C, D, E.
F, A, B, C, D, F. A, C, G, T, and X.
And X, is that accurate for RNA?
For RNA, it's A, C, G, U. Because there's only 4 different things. But then X, because X is cool.
Yeah. Okay. So that's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Change it to you. Also spells
Eggux.
Eggux. Thank you, Chris.
You can probably something. You can probably spell something way cooler than that.
Uh, Zugak.
So, oh, that does sound cooler. So there are 12 different possibilities that are one letter away. That means you don't. Yeah, that means you
Wait.
only need about 3 of each one.
How
Right?
does that work, Chris?
12 different possibilities that are one letter away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have C, AA, G, AA, U, AA, X, AA, and then
Oh yeah,
AC.
yeah. Different possibilities, but actually you have 10 because you have to get rid of the other two. Or
What other
9.
two?
You have 9 possibilities.
Um, you have to explain it to me. I don't understand why.
Because so if you have like, for instance, imagine you have just. Hold on. This was back when we were looking at 3 of options. Because so now you could have AA and then C, G, U, or X, and you can do that for all 3 positions.
Yeah.
So that's whatever that is. 16, 12, 12. That's right. You're right.
12. That's how I did my math originally. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. That means you only need a 2.8 of each one
2.8.
of each combination, something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. 2 point something, which isn't bad. That's pretty good.
I mean, unless you don't want to use all of them, because I mean, in my head, if you have each unique like string has its own like special ability, right?
Yeah, that
So
is true.
you may not want to use all of them. You may want to cut down to something like 8 different possibilities, in which case you have 4 of each of them.
Well, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
That's not that bad either.
And then so then we are looking at like sort of an evolution tree, right? Like I imagine that there's like 4 like legendary viruses who are
That should be the case.
like really far away, like 4 or 5 evolutions away.
Yeah.
If you're looking at 4 evolutions away, and you want to make it significantly like challenging to get to,
Then you sort of need to tear these letters off, don't you?
yeah. I mean, you don't have to do that. Like, you just need to create a tree that looks like a tree that leads you to the end.
Yeah, but trees are gonna be hard to create with this system because you can just bypass them as long as you have two, right?
Yeah. The thing
It's
is,
not
like,
a straight one goes to another. It's like 17 go to another
that's true.
17 possibilities.
That's true, but there's still the possibility. Like, I guess you're right. It is kind of tearing it out. So that way you're like, hey, X X only shows up once in a blue moon.
Yeah, like your first tier would be like AAA ones,
Yeah.
and your second tier, I guess the CNG ones would be like two A's and one CG.
See, but if you have two C's, G's,
But then your third tier would be like two A's, uh, two CGs, right, or one A.
yeah, you could build a local maximum that's like one A and or two A's and a U or an X, right? And that's like it stops evolving there, but you can go backwards. You can go back to previous things.
What was that?
So like you can make it evolve to like a X or something, right? From the first tier to the second and a half tier. And at the
Yeah,
second and a half tier, it's like challenging to evolve anywhere from there except for back to the second tier.
right. That makes sense. Because the fourth tier is what, three CGs
Three CGs or
or two
two and
CGs,
U.
one UX,
Yeah.
and then fifth is two UXs. One CG. And the sixth would be
XXX.
the three. Yeah.
Oh, that's frightening. That's an intimidating gene strand you got going on there.
Uh, is there any combination of three letters that has as much meaning as XXX? I would say no.
I think AAA probably.
I mean, that does have some, but it kind of splits it in half between the car association and triple A baseball
I mean,
in my mind.
Triple A just kind of has like this connotation that comes with it of the best of the best.
Triple A is not the best of baseball though.
I know.
It's one level below the best. How did that happen with video games?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So, what are some kind of abilities that we can put on them? Of course, we're going to add on like they have increased stats, increased infectiness, increased blah blah blah. I already said a couple of them. They have the ability to like you don't have to. You can now infect like things that aren't directly adjacent to you.
Better at affecting people. Better at attacking guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Attacking opponents.
Yep.
Should there be some sickness in this game? Or asexual reproduction sickness?
Yes, asexual reproduction sickness.
We call it ARP. ARS. I don't know why I thought P.
ARPS.
R's.
ARPS.
Asexual
A
reproduction sickness.
ASRS. Azers.
It's funny how Wizards got rid of this from summoning sickness, but it won't go away.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we have asexual reproduction sickness, then obviously we have asexual reproduction sickness haste.
Yeah. What I imagine is, like when I do it, I flip it over, like I turn it face down. Whenever I reproduce with it, right? I turn it face down,
Okay.
and then I play
Okay.
whatever one also face down, and then the next turn I turn them all face up, and it's like a surprise.
Oh, that is actually it's interesting. That's more than just I can't use my guy. But I mean, isn't the reason they have summoning sickness to begin with because they don't want everything to be a surprise? They want people to plan around each other.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with that. Like, that's the reason that exists. Like,
Chris, I don't care. I think it sounds awesome.
it is awesome. All right, so like infection increasing abilities.
Yeah. And protection, increasing abilities, resistance / resistance, infection / resistance.
Is someone buzzing you?
I'm buzzing me.
Oh, okay.
It's my what's it called? Sonic screwdriver.
It does sound like that. Infection jump fly abilities.
Yeah, infection jump fly abilities.
Increase cards drawn.
And you can have like a kidnapping ability where you just automatically jump, like you swap spaces with another one, like an enemy controlled space.
That's weird.
I know.
Um, like attack at twice abilities.
Attack it twice. Also, move a more than once.
You don't move though.
I guess it's an attacker.
Reproduction doesn't cost caffeine. Hmm.
And things like that.
I guess targeting.
Targeting, like provoke.
So, like when you attack, like he doesn't get to decide who blocks. You get to decide what is attacking.
Yeah, like provoke.
Like provoke, yes. Yeah,
Sounds good
like
to me,
that.
man. Things like that. What's the maximum like people resistance level going to be?
The maximum?
Or like, yeah, what's
I don't know, 8, 9,
8 or 9? Sounds good. 9, it's a great number. It's like 6, but upside down.
9. Yeah. Okay. Max people resistance. 9.
That seems like a good like starting point to see where to put all the other points around, all the other stats and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you have a maximum number of virus army control units that you can have?
That's a good question, and I was thinking about that earlier, and there probably should be.
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
I was thinking 5.
5. Okay, 5.
All right. Is there anything else on you said?
I think that's
I
about.
guess what percent of the board do you need to control? How many spaces is it going to be?
Oh yes. So if you make it increase based off of players, so if you have 2 players, it's I don't know 4x4 or something like that.
Is 16 spaces?
And you control 9. I like 9. 9's a good number. Maybe 10. Probably 10.
That makes sense. We'll probably have like, I have no idea. How many people? 4?
Probably 4.
Yeah.
If there's 4, we're looking at like 6x6, 36 spaces.
And how many do you have to control to win?
Like 15, 14.
14?
16.
16 spaces to win? Just throw numbers out there.
I am. I threw out 3 numbers.
If it sounds right, it's probably right. Probably not right,
15,
but we'll see.
15 and a half.
15 and a half. I think that's the same as 16 in this case.
Yeah, I guess. Unless you're not round in the same way.
All right, and the questions to ask.
Questiones tuo ascaruno. So I mean,
What are your biggest concerns?
my biggest concerns.
Yeah.
I already voiced one of my big concerns, which is the issue with the possible.
Combat, stalemate, stagnation,
Yep, that thing.
concerns.
That guy.
Is the combat working in a way that doesn't make it a quagmire?
Quagmire? Giggity.
Quagmire.
I mean, that was one of the first ones. The other one was that I had said at the beginning related to the other win condition, Like, is eliminating your opponent actually a viable win condition? Can you eliminate your
Fighting
opponent?
with opponents.
Like, can you control enough space, or do you? If you eliminate your opponents, yeah, I guess because eliminating your opponent could consist of killing off all of their dudes. I guess because killing off all of their or you can't kill off all of their dudes, right? Because they can just choose to leave unless you have some extra stuff that allows you to kill it, like provoking them and stuff.
This is true.
So I suppose if we put that in there, it'll be more interesting. But how about you, Chris? What's a concern that you have, or thought question?
I don't know how the numbers are going to work out. I guess, do people feel that are controlling their destiny in terms of the evolutionary path?
Yeah.
Do people feel in control of their evolutionary destiny?
What a silly sentence.
I know, that's why I wrote it down. All right, I think that's it.
All right. I think that's going to be it too for tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this episode of Tabletop Masons, and tune in next week where we can take a look at some of these crazy evolving bacterial virus doohickeys and see how they play out.
It'll basically be pandemic in reverse.
It'll basically be pandemic in reverse, and that's fine.
Why is there 4 giant diseases killing humanity all at the same time? This is
Don't
terrible.
ask questions.
Because otherwise the game wouldn't make sense.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
You can't have any fun otherwise, duh.
Yeah.
It's called a game for a reason. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Did you end it?